So the shells are all set up and ready to go. Next we're going to set up the hardware and get ready to play. Hey everybody, got your drum keys? Alright, let's set up this drum kit. Now, as you see in front of me, we have all the hardware that came with the kit. We have our drums over here, and bass drum over here. We're going to start off by building the easy pieces. This black one right here. This is the bottom for our drum throne. They're not drum seats, they're drum thrones, okay? Now it's adjustable over here if you want to adjust the height. Take this drum, see all the different holes in it? So let's say we want to go for this height right here, because I am a little bit taller myself. And I will be playing this kit. Slide that through, and then put all the pieces back the way they had. Now on the bottom over here, you can see this wing nut. So I'm just going to loosen that up so I can slide this on. Okay? Tighten that right back up. Drum throne complete. I'll put that off to the side. Next off, we have the bass drum pedal. This is what's going to give the rumble from down under. Now, right now it's all broken into a bunch of different pieces. So what we'll do is you'll take these metal rods right here, kind of squish them together a little, and you can see two holes on the inside that you're going to put these metal pieces into. And that'll just keep the pedal nice and sturdy. Alright, we have the bass drum beater. Now you notice how there's the plastic side, there's also the felt side. Each of these will give a different sound, depending on the sort of sound you want. If you want a softer, warmer sound, you use the felt side. If you want a harder, more distinct sound, you're going to use the plastic side over here. So I like the warm sound, so I'm going to put on the felt side. So, remember our drum key? You're going to use that to loosen this piece up right here. And then you should be able to slide this right through. So, as you can see, I have it at this height. Now, what we're looking to do is make sure the beater will go up in the center of the bass drum. Now, if I was to hit this, it would be a little bit higher on the bass drum. So I'm going to lower this down a little. Next up, we have our crash stand. Now this is what's going to be holding your crash cymbal. That's the larger cymbal in the set that comes with. What I'm actually doing is I'm loosening this wing nut right here, okay? And you're going to have a three-legged stand come out like that. I like to get it pretty far apart. It will just make the stand a little bit more sturdy, okay? So I'll tighten that back up. You take this piece, this other piece of the crash stand. You notice the felt's on it. I'm going to just slide this right on top. And I believe that will be a good height, but you can always adjust it later. And if you want, there's a secondary adjustment up here. So I'll take this piece over here, and what that does is that changes the angle. So we'll take off the top here, this wing nut. I will take off the top felt, this larger cymbal right here, put it on top of the cymbal stand, take that felt piece, put it back on top. This protects the cymbal. And then I'll put the wing nut back on so it doesn't come off. This is our snare stand. So same way that we did it with the crash cymbal. I'm going to take the legs and extend them out. I'll tighten it up so the legs don't move. Now this is a funny looking contraption. This is called a snare basket. This is what's going to be holding the snare drum. It holds it from 3 points of contact from underneath. Now, when I loosen this piece right here, it allows me to change the angle, as you can see. So I'll put this in right here, find an angle that I think would work. Again, we can always change it later. And then I'll open the basket up. Now I'll adjust it once I put the snare in. Make sure the angle's set at a decent angle. And let's grab the snare drum and put it on in. So you may find the snare basket is too open or it's too closed. You can adjust how open or closed the basket is by adjusting this wheel right here. Different snare mechanisms exist, but most of them are like this. So I'll put this down, and I notice that the snare basket is too open. So what I'll do is I'll just tighten this clockwise, I personally like it so it's tight enough that when you lift up the snare drum, the stand comes with it. This piece is a little bit more complicated. This is the hi-hat stand. This is going to be something you play with both your hands and your feet. So similar to the crash and the snare stand, I'm going to extend the legs out so it's completely flat on the ground, as well as the piece underneath. I'll tighten it up so it doesn't move around. And just like a bass pedal, it's got the metal bars, so I need to thread them in the holes over here. The bottom part, the hi-hat, is ready to go. And we still have these other pieces over here. This rod right here, this is going to go inside the screw hole that we have right on the top here. So I'll tighten that up. Sometimes I find I can't tighten it as much as I want to with my hands. So I'll take this, thread this on, tighten that. This is called the hi-hat clutch right here, okay? So I'll tighten it just to have a better grip. And then I'll torque it a little bit, make it nice and tight. Now this piece, just make sure you have it in the right order. You're going to slide down and tighten it, and this will determine the height of the bottom hi-hat piece, bottom hi-hat cymbal. Now also, you'll have a washer. Put that down, and you'll have this felt. And that's what the lower cymbal is going to be resting on. So I'll take one of these cymbals, both the same size, and I'm going to start building the hi-hat. Just put that there. Now, this doesn't sit on top like that. What we need to do is grab the hi-hat clutch. So I'll loosen this piece on the bottom and take that assembly apart. And the hi-hat's going to go in between those two felts. So I'll put this piece through, again, move the hi-hat over there, put the felt back on the other side, again, keep the cymbal safe. And then on this one, it has a washer, right? So I'll put that back. Now we have it nice and tight in between the two felts. And we're actually going to take this whole assembly, put it on top. This lower pedal controls the height of this rod right here. So as you see, when I press down on this pedal, this moves up and down. Now it's not very useful right now, but then when I decided to tighten this, the pedal now controls the top cymbal, where this assembly right here controls the bottom cymbal. So I can go like this. Just about ready to put the drum kit together. All we need to do is add the floor tom legs. Okay, so we have our floor tom. What I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it upside down. Now we're putting in these 3 floor tom legs. Okay? So, as you can see, around the floor tom, there are 3 different mounting points to put in the floor tom legs. Make sure it's loose enough so you can slide them in. And when you can, there's usually markers where you can set this up for height. Now I'll just find a height that will work for me for right now, and I can always adjust it later. Okay, so we are ready to go and build the drum kit. Don't worry, we haven't forgotten about these pieces yet. We're ready to build the drum kit up. So we're going to start off taking the bass drum and extending the legs. You may notice that there are a couple different tabs along here. So we're going to take these lines and line it up with this one, so it sits on a bit of an angle towards the front of the drum. Now, this isn't reaching the ground, we want it to. So what we're going to do is take our drum key and loosen this up. You have your drum key, right? So, keep them about this length. Okay, so we'll just try and do the same on the other side. So now we have our bass drum legs extended. So what we're going to do is attach the bass drum pedal, okay? So on the front here of the bass drum pedal, you can see this clip here. The way that we get it to lower down is we're going to tighten this wing nut, turn it in a clockwise direction. We're going to take it and slide it two pieces underneath the bass drum rim and the one piece on top. Slide it flush against it, so when you press on the beater, it'll go right to the center of the drum. Perfect. Okay, so now that we're all attached, let's face that towards the center of the stage. Okay, so you remember these guys? These are the tom arms. And you can take it out, so you're sitting at an angle up here. Then we place them on the top of the bass drum. Make sure it's nice and loose so it can sit in. And I suggest you take the wing nuts and you leave them towards the outside of the drum for easier access. Now you may find that it might not sit correctly. These pieces right here are called memory locks. So if you're taking your drum set apart, you can actually leave these on and it'll remember the positioning for you. So I like to keep them loose when I'm setting up my drum kit. Start by adding on 10-inch tom, otherwise known as the high tom. Make sure the memory lock is loose. Now we'll slide the tom on the tom arm. And I just do the same thing with the other side. Now this is pretty good, but I want to make sure the angles make a little bit more sense for me. Now, since I'm a bigger person, I'll have the drums sitting up a little bit higher. If you're a smaller person, you might want to sit the drums a little bit lower. You can put it on a different angle by loosening this and letting it fall down a little bit, and change the angle as well by turning it on the tom arm itself. So it might take a little bit of time to find an angle that works the best for you. So what we're going to do next is take the floor tom, this big guy over here, put it on the right side of the drum kit. I like to make mine a little bit higher, so I'll raise the height by lowering the floor tom leg. Take the snare drum and your drumsticks, put it right in front. So from this side, I see snare, high tom, medium tom, and the floor tom. Take the hi-hats, bring them in a little bit closer, so your feet can reach both the bass drum pedal and the hi-hat pedal. Lastly, you have the crash cymbal. Take that, put it right over here. But if you'd like, if suggested by your teacher, you can take the cymbal and put it on your right side. Let's try that. So once you sit behind the kit, you might find there are some other adjustments you'd like to do. Now, if you're interested in raising your hi-hat, make sure you loosen the bottom and the top wing nut, and then you'll be able to raise this bottom bar right here. But you won't be able to raise it if this is stuck. So make sure that's nice and loose, and then you can open it up right there. So with that, the drum kit's all set up and you're ready to play. At first, setting up a drum kit may be a little bit intimidating, but the more you do it, the more comfortable you get. If you have any other questions or concerns, you can come on into the Drummer's Den at Cosmo Music. Come talk to me or any of the other guys. We'd be happy to help you. Or you can go to cosmomusic.ca and check out some more videos that we have.